Ever wonder what happens when big dreams meet even bigger egos? Today, we're diving into the world of billionaires who flew too close to the sun. We'll explore how their big ideas and bigger personalities led to amazing success, and some spectacular failures. Get ready for a wild ride through the ups and downs of 5 famous billionaires. Their stories will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even learn a thing or two about the power of ego. The big idea. Let's start with Adam Neumann and WeWork. Imagine a guy who thought, hey, what if we made office spaces cool? That was Adam. He had this amazing idea to create fun, hip places where people could work together. It wasn't just boring old offices, it was a whole new way of thinking about work. The awesome beginning. Adam was like a rock star in the business world. He could talk to anyone and make them believe in his dream. People loved his energy and big ideas. WeWork grew super fast, and soon it was worth billions of dollars. Everyone thought Adam was a genius. When things got weird. But then, Adam's ego started getting a bit out of control. He began doing some pretty strange things. He'd walk around the office barefoot like he was at the beach. He spent tons of money on crazy stuff, like a wave pool for surfing. It was like he forgot he was running a business and thought he was at a never-ending party. The big oops. All this wild behavior started to make people nervous. When WeWork tried to become a public company, everyone saw how messy things were. The company was losing money, and Adam was making some really bad choices. In the end, he had to leave WeWork, and the company almost went bankrupt. It was a big lesson in what happens when you let your ego take over. Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos. The Dream Machine. Next up, we have Elizabeth Holmes and her company, Theranos. Elizabeth had a really cool idea. What if we could test for all sorts of diseases with just a tiny drop of blood? It sounded like something from a sci-fi movie, and people got super excited about it. The Wonder Woman. Elizabeth was young, smart, and super confident. She dressed all in black, like a superhero, and talked about changing the world. Big-time investors threw money at her, thinking she was the next Steve Jobs. Theranos became worth billions of dollars before it even really got started. The big pretend. But here's the thing, Elizabeth's amazing blood testing machine didn't really work. Instead of admitting it, she just pretended everything was fine. She lied to investors, doctors, and even patients. Her ego was so big that she thought she could fake it until she made it work for real. The truth comes out. Eventually, some smart people started asking questions. They found out that Theranos was using regular old blood tests most of the time, not their special machine. When the truth came out, everything fell apart. Elizabeth got in big trouble with the law, and Theranos shut down. It was a huge mess, all because she couldn't admit she was wrong. Elon Musk and Tesla. The electric dream. Now, let's talk about Elon Musk and Tesla. Elon had this wild idea: what if we could make electric cars that were actually cool? Not just good for the planet, but fast and fun to drive too. It was a big dream, and lots of people thought it was impossible. Elon wanted to prove that you didn't have to choose between helping the environment and having an awesome car. He set out to change the entire car industry. The Rocket Man. Elon isn't just smart, he's like a real-life Tony Stark. He works super hard and comes up with all sorts of crazy ideas. Thanks to him, Tesla became the coolest car company around. Electric cars went from boring to awesome, and Elon became one of the richest people in the world. But cars weren't enough for Elon. He also started a rocket company called SpaceX, because why not try to go to Mars while you're changing the car industry? His big dreams and bigger ego pushed him to try things no one else would. The Twitter trouble. But Elon's ego sometimes gets him into trouble. He loves to say whatever pops into his head on Twitter, and sometimes that causes big problems. He's gotten in trouble with the government, made Tesla's stock price go up and down like a roller coaster, and even had to step down as the chairman of his own company for a while. Elon seems to think rules don't apply to him, and that can lead to some pretty messy situations. His tweets have cost him millions of dollars in fines and caused a lot of headaches for Tesla. The ongoing adventure. The funny thing about Elon is that his ego is both his superpower and his kryptonite. It makes him brave enough to try impossible things, but it also gets him into hot water. People are always wondering what he'll do next. Will it be something amazing, or will it be a big mess? With Elon, you never know. He keeps pushing forward with new ideas, like brain-computer interfaces and underground tunnels for cars. Some people think he's a genius, others think he's reckless, but everyone agrees he's never boring. Donald Trump and Trump Organization. The golden name. Let's move on to Donald Trump and the Trump Organization. Donald had a simple idea: make everything big, shiny, and put his name on it in giant gold letters. He built hotels, casinos, and golf courses that were all about luxury and showing off. Donald believed that his name alone could make anything successful. He turned himself into a brand, selling the idea of wealth and success to people who wanted to feel important. The TV star. Donald became famous for being, well, Donald. He was loud, he bragged a lot, and he loved being the center of attention. He even had his own TV show where he got to fire people. His big personality made the Trump brand super famous. Donald wasn't just a businessman anymore, he was a celebrity. He wrote books, appeared in movies, and was always in the news. His ego grew with every headline, and he seemed to love every minute of it. The political surprise. Then, Donald did something that shocked everyone. He ran for president and won. It was like his biggest business deal ever. But being president is way different from running a company, and Donald's ego sometimes got in the way of doing the job. He ran the country like one of his businesses, which caused a lot of arguments and problems. His time as president was full of drama, tweets, and constant battles with the media and his political opponents. The stormy aftermath. After he left office, Donald faced a lot of problems. There were investigations, 2 impeachments, and even some scary stuff like the January 6th event at the Capitol. It showed how dangerous it can be when someone with a really big ego gets a really big job. Even after leaving the White House, Donald keeps making headlines and stirring up controversy. His story shows how a big ego can take you to the top, but it can also lead to a pretty bumpy ride back down. Steve Jobs and Apple. The computer wizard. Last but not least, let's talk about Steve Jobs and Apple. Steve had this amazing idea that computers could be for everyone, not just nerdy scientists. He wanted to make them easy to use and beautiful to look at. Steve believed that technology should be both powerful and simple. He dreamed of putting a computer in every home and, later, in every pocket. The comeback kid. Steve wasn't always easy to work with. He could be super picky and sometimes not very nice. He even got kicked out of Apple, the company he started. But then he came back and turned Apple into one of the biggest companies ever. He gave us cool stuff like the iPhone and iPad. Steve's return to Apple is one of the greatest comeback stories in business history. He took a company that was almost bankrupt and turned it into a tech powerhouse. The perfection problem. Steve's ego made him always want things to be perfect. This was good because it made Apple's products amazing. But it was also hard for the people who worked for him. He could be really tough and sometimes hurt people's feelings. Steve would often reject ideas that weren't up to his standards, sometimes in harsh ways. His pursuit of perfection led to incredible products, but it also created a stressful work environment. The lasting legacy. Even though Steve isn't around anymore, his impact on technology is huge. He showed that having a big ego isn't always bad. Sometimes it pushes you to do incredible things. But it's important to balance that with being kind and understanding too. Steve's legacy is complicated. He changed the world with his inventions, but his leadership style remains controversial. Today, Apple continues to follow his vision of creating products that are both beautiful and easy to use. What we learned. The power of big dreams. All these billionaires had huge dreams and the confidence to chase them. Their egos gave them the courage to try things that seemed impossible. Sometimes, you need to believe in yourself more than anyone else does. The danger of too much ego. But we also saw how egos can get out of control. When you start thinking you're always right and stop listening to others, that's when trouble starts. It's important to stay humble and remember that everyone makes mistakes. The balance act. The trick is finding the right balance. You want to be confident enough to take big risks and try new things. But you also need to be humble enough to listen, learn, and admit when you're wrong. It's not easy, but it's the key to long-term success. The human side of success. These stories remind us that even super successful people are still human. They have flaws and make mistakes just like the rest of us. It's okay to admire their achievements, but we shouldn't put them on pedestals. So there you have it, the wild world of billionaire egos. We've seen how big dreams and big personalities can lead to amazing success, and some pretty epic failures too. What do you think? Do you need a big ego to make it big, or is it better to stay humble? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps out the channel. And hey, who knows? Maybe one day we'll be making a video about your rise to billionaire status. Just try to keep that ego in check, okay? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.